Hello and welcome. My name is Ryan, I'm also known as RM2KDev. Now, in the last video we created all of our windows, and that was really cool. In this video we're going to be creating our first NPC. So I know it's been a long time, guys, and thank you for sticking with me on this. We're moving into game territory now, so let's start by basically, the first thing we need to do is we need to go back to our game state room, object, and we need to bring back our start game code. So let's just call room go to next and save that object. The only reason we need to do that is because in the last episode I was showing you guys how to create these windows, and we disabled that go to room next so that we didn't end up into the map room, so we could see what they looked like on the title screen. So in this episode we're creating NPCs. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a sprite group. We're going to call this NPC. Underneath that we're going to call this one, let's call this, oh geez, we need to think of a name for an NPC. I did not think this through. Let's call this NPC Bob. That's such a generic name, I love it. So again, like we did for our hero object, we need to create the 4 sprites. So let's do this by selecting create sprite, call this sprite Bob underscore left. We edit the sprite, create from strip. This time we need to go back to my game stuff, which is the VX RTP. And I've already shown you guys how to do this, so I'll probably skip through it. Now Bob is going to be the second hero here with the blonde hair. Okay, so once you've got all of your Bob sprites loaded, we're going to come down to our objects again. We're going to select create group. We're going to call this one NPC. We're going to create a new object. We're going to call this one here object NPC Bob. Give him the down sprite first. So NPC's Bob sprite down. Now on our map, we'll just find a nice place to put Bob. Let's put Bob somewhere close. So let's go NPCs, object Bob. We're just going to place Bob over here. Yeah, let's place him there. So that gives us basically the simplest object. He can't do anything at the moment, so we need to sort of copy our hero's collision shape. So if we look at our settings for our hero, uses physics, we're going to set the properties the same. So uses physics, density is 0.1. It's a circle shape. We position the circle in the center and we make it 1 pixel smaller. I think that's what we did for our hero last time. Yes, it is. Now Bob has physics. The thing we need to do next is we need to say that the object, sorry, one more thing we need to do real quick is we need to add another object, and we're going to call this object NPC underscore base. Uses physics, and we'll just give it the circle, we'll just give it Bob's sprite for the moment, just so we can see something. We'll put the physics collision box in the center and we'll make it 1 pixel smaller, and density is 0.1. So now what we need to do is we need to say in our hero object, add an event collision with NPC base, and we'll just copy our collide with object. So now the comment is in here that says collide with. Select OK. What this means is that our hero is going to collide with NPC base. So if we put an NPC base into the room right next to our hero, there we go. We'll just run our game for a second. What you'll notice is our hero does not collide with NPC base. Oh, sorry guys, I just realized why he doesn't collide. We need to select our origins and select them to 1632, which puts the center bottom as the origin for the collisions. So 1632. Now we should be able to collide.
Okay, we are colliding, but Bob needs to be moved now.
because he has moved up into the trees. There we go. So now you'll see we have full collisions all the way around our good friend here, Mr. Bob. Now you see we do have a little bit of a depth ordering issue here, so we're going to fix that with our depth ordering script. So in our NPC base object, add a create event, in our step event, we're going to have the depth equals y multiplied by -1. What this will do is every NPC that inherits from NPC base will get this script inherently. So if we go to our intro screen and we bring Bob over here, so the bottom left is Bob and the top right is NPC base, what you'll notice is that we don't collide with Bob, even though Bob uses physics. Right, but we do collide with NPC base. So if we go to our object Bob and we set the parent to be NPC base, this means that Bob is going to inherit all of the properties that we set on NPC base. So now we're going to collide with Bob. You might be thinking to yourself, wow, that's a lot of work just to set NPCs up, but actually we get a really awesome effect from this. If we duplicate NPC Bob, so it's got the same parent, we call this one here object NPC test, we set our down image to be the hero just for testing, and we go back to our game, we'll get rid of the NPC base object, we don't need that anymore. We've got Bob here, let's add our test NPC. So there's our test NPC, he's over there, he's right there. What you'll notice is that we collide with both of them, but we didn't have to write any code to get that. See, we collide with the hero and we collide with Bob. This is especially useful because now we don't need to write code for as many NPCs as we have. We inherit this code from a base NPC. You'll also notice that the depth ordering is now working correctly. We can be behind, we can be off to the side, and as soon as we get in front, we're in front of Bob. Bob has some issues. He doesn't appear to be working with the trees depth settings. We'll sort that out later. But there we go, that's the basis of our NPC. So let's begin by doing something a little different. So in our NPC Bob, in our draw event, what I want to add is just a little circle to show us his area of effect. So if we just start off by saying, we'll call this debug script. We'll start off by saying draw self. Underneath that we're going to say draw circle. The X and Y position are going to be X and Y. The radius is going to be 64. The outline is going to be 3 pixels. Now what this will give us is this will give us the hero, and he'll be underneath a circle, and we'll be able to see this on the map. There he is. So there's that circle. That's the area of effect. That's obviously far too large, so let's change that to say 24. One other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the intro room and get rid of that creation code that shows us the switch for the intro scene, because that was getting a little bit annoying. Okay, that looks much better. We could possibly even shrink that a little bit more. Let's shrink that down to say 16. Shrink that down to say 16. Yeah, that's perfect. So this is the area of effect. So if we want to interact with Bob, we need to be within this area of effect. So what we can possibly do... I forgot to also mention that because we've also got this offset here of 16 pixels vertical, we would need to bring that up 16 pixels. So if our Y position, if we just say -16, and we set this to 32, that gives us 16 pixels all around the object. There we go, so we've got 16 pixels in every direction. So now we can clearly get into his area of effect from any direction. Just like that. So what we need to do is we also need to do the same thing for our hero. So in our hero's draw event, we're going to add the same debug script. So we can just copy that from Bob. There we go. So what this is showing us is this is the sort of this is the area that we need to interact with Bob. We could possibly make these smaller. I'm still just toying with the numbers here, guys. So like I said, you know, this is a creative process. I'm building this game as I'm making these videos for you, and I edit out all the crap. So let's make that smaller. Let's make that 16 by 16. Sorry, 8 by 8. So we get a 16 by 16 collision radius for both. (32 minus 8 is 24. I hope. Let's just work that out with a calculator. 32 minus, yeah, it's 24. So in our hero, we do the same thing. It's going to be negative 16, and the radius is going to be 24. Okay, that looks better. So now we need to be at least this close before we can interact with Bob. Okay, let's begin by adding some sort of basic interaction. Oh yeah, let's delete this test NPC because we don't need that anymore. So let's add some sort of basic interaction to Bob. So in NPC, how are we going to do this? Inside of NPC, actually inside of hero, in our step event, under handle input logic, we're going to have another one, and it's going to be called sort of up, down, left, right. Let's make this Z. If keyboard check OSD ORD, and then we put the letter W in capitals. There we go. So if we press the W key, we want to interact. We're going to call this interact. Sorry, not W, this is Z. Interaction. There we go. So what we need to do is in our create event for the hero, let's add a variable. This is an instance variable. We're going to call it action equals false. Now inside of our step event under input logic, let's add action equals true if the key is pressed, else action equals false. There we go. Now inside of our base, we can add in the step event, what's this one called? Oh, sorry, we should have added a comment to this and call this depth order correction, and we'll add another script. We're going to call this one here hero interaction. Stop. And this is where we need the variables from Bob. So we need to say, first of all, let's get the distance. Distance equals point distance, and this is going to be object hero.x, object hero.y. This is going to be, the second parameters are going to be x and y, so that's the current position of this player. Oh, sorry, of this object. Sorry, they need to be phy position as well. Position underscore. We'll do that for phy position x and y. There we go. So we're using the physics representation, not just the x and y on the screen. Now we say if dist is less than, what were the numbers? I think it was 24. So if we're less than 24 pixels away, we need to say if object hero.action equals true. So if the hero is doing an action script, then this is where we can say something like show message test. So save that script and we'll run this and see if this works. Oh, we've got some sort of issue here. Error at line 23, position 29. 23, position 29. Ah, we need one more bracket. There we go. Oops, I've lost my game. There it is. So now, as we move around, we can press Z. If we get close enough to Bob, no, that didn't work. So let's find out why that's not working. So in the NPC base event under step hero interaction, let's put show debug message dist. There we go. Just so we can see what that distance is. It's null. That's because it needs to be string dist. Okay, so we can see here that our distance gets greater. You can see that in the bottom corner here. As we get closer, let's have a look what our distance is when we're right next to him. So the distance is 24.94. So we need to make the distance at least 32. So let's call this 32 because we're never getting close enough. There we go. So now the distance, if we press Z, now it works. So what you'll see is that we are actually less than 32 pixels away. This will work up to this far away. So I'm pressing Z and I can no longer interact with this NPC. So you'll see we're getting the message test. So now we need to make this generic. So that's the last thing that we're going to do. What we'll do is we'll go into the create event for NPC base. We'll say var message equals undefined NPC. Now what we can do is inside of Bob, in his create event, we can say, at the very first line we say event underscore inherited. What this means is that the object base create event will get copied into this create event and executed in this line here. So right now Bob's message will be NPC undefined, but now we can say message equals hello, I am Bob, full stop. Now if we run the game again, what you'll see now is when we speak to Bob, it says test, because we need to go back to our NPC base. In our step event, hero interaction, we need to change this from show message test to show message message. So now we're showing the message that's defined in the NPC. Hello, I am Bob. There we go. So now just to demonstrate what we can do here, I'm going to make a copy of Bob. Let's duplicate Bob. We're going to call this object Bob NPC Bob clone. This is just to demonstrate. You guys don't have to do this, but in the draw event, I'm going to say color image underscore, I think it's color image underscore blend equals C red. So Bob's clone is going to be slightly red. Let's just change his message to raw. I am Z-Bob. There we go. I am Z-Bob. This is an evil clone, that's why he's red. We need to add the evil clone to the map. So let's add our evil Bob clone. So the Bob clone, don't forget he's going to be red when the game runs, so don't worry about how he looks now. There we go. So if we talk to Bob, we'll see hello, I am Bob. And if we talk to Z-Bob, raw, I am Z-Bob. So what you see is we've used a design pattern that's used in more advanced programming in other languages. It's called inheritance, and basically we've created one script which is called NPC base, which handles all of our collisions, all of our dialogue, and yeah, so we can create as many NPCs as we like now that will all get this script. So later on we'll move to changing this from just hello I am Bob into that messaging, into that window that we created before, and we'll have a pop up on the screen in the lower third to display what we're trying to say here. Okay, so let's just close this down. We can get rid of Z-Bob from the game now because he's not needed. Bob clone is gone. There we go. The other thing that we can do is we can also get rid of that debug drawer. So we're just going to delete our drawer event from Bob and from the hero, because we don't need those anymore, because we figured out the radius. We only use those to figure out those radiuses. We could have done that also with just using the point distance, but you know, whatever, this worked. Okay, so thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this video, to my YouTube channel, and like this video and share it. You can follow me on Twitter. It's @rm2kdev. Thanks for watching.